Y por fin estamos grabando. Hola, buenos días. Feliz miércoles. Sí, feliz miércoles. Uh, we are one person away from having spring class set to go. We just need one more sign up. I think we'll get that in the next couple of weeks. So we should be pretty much on our way with that. Para que sepan. So next week, la semana que viene, tengo que ver. Aquí, sí, 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 claro, claro. Yeah, next week will be our last week of winter session, para que sepan, so because I know some people are on the road and kind of plan around their schedule. Okay, ¿qué vamos a hacer hoy? What are we going to do today? Vamos a leer un poquito. We're going to read a little. We'll do a little warm up with shadowing to get our mouths working from our wedding, our Super Bowl wedding article. So you know what order we're doing things in. So we're going to start with a little bit of reading from that. See if have any questions from that. We'll see if you have any questions from last week's listening video. Número dos, number two item there. And then we're going to get into our verb. We had a lot of people who wanted us to take a look at the verbs that have multiple meanings. And we're going to do another practice with the verb llevar, another practice. And you'll have a video that will show some uh, uh, on the street interviews showing how people use llevar and some examples that are thought out ahead of time. Some will be spontaneous examples, some will be thought up ahead of time, and we'll do practice them with llevar. Lots of verbs in Spanish that have multiple meanings, as English does, but some of them with Spanish can be a little bit challenging. So llevar is the verb of the week, el verbo de esta semana. Bueno, entonces, uh, I am going to try to and I also have somebody who looked at our recording. I'm trying to change the screens I have up because they looked at a recording and said that I have an issue with layers, which I don't know how to fix. Okay, so we'll try here. I'm going to try a fix and see if it helps. Pam, 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 pam. Vamos a leer aquí. Perfecto, perfecto. Y tengo que engrandecer todo un poquito. I need to make everything a little bit bigger. Ah, y vamos a empezar. ¿Dónde vamos a empezar? Ah. Okay. Voy a leer aquí. I'm going to read here. And what I want you to think of as we do this as our warm up with pronunciation, I want you to be always concentrating on vocales, vowels. Okay. Always concentrating on that. And I know that is repetitious. I've said that many times, pero vale la pena. It is worth it because for English speakers, the thing that the biggest problem really is not the things that we typically think of as hard, like rolling an R might be very, very hard for a lot of people. But rolling an R is not a make it or break it pronunciation skill. What is hard for English speakers is keeping those vowels clear, even though you can say that Spanish is the easiest language to pronounce in a lot of ways because we don't have multiple sounds for vowels. We have only one sound for vowels. So you would think that makes it easier, but the English part of our brains that is just ingrained in the essence of how our brain functions is made up of multiple pronunciations for vowels, and we tend to set that, we tend to translate that into our use of Spanish. And we really cannot impose our English pronunciation on Spanish. Okay. And the cognates actually kind of don't help in that respect, in that a lot of times when you have a cognate, it's a word that sounds like an English word, and you therefore already know what that Spanish word means because it's related to the English word. Because our pronunciation is different, we tend to impose that English pronunciation. So we need to really constantly fight that, fight that. And our ability to use the vowels in that one clear-cut way is really a make it or break it thing for people to understand us. So I'm going to start with a little bit here, and I'm going to start with this, and then we'll continue with you guys speaking. Here we're talking about the expectations that the couple had before they realized what was going on with the invitation to bring their wedding to the Super Bowl. ¿Sí? A la pareja le preguntaron por sus tallas de zapatillas y ropa. They asked the couple for their clothing and shoe sizes. Pensamos, we thought, Dios mío, oh my God, nos va a regalar una camiseta o algo así. Hey, wow, they're going to give us a gift of some kind of t-shirt or something like that. Algo así, something similar, yeah. Recordó el señor Walter, he remembered. Luego les preguntaron si tenían alguna restricción para viajar. Later, they asked us if we had any kind of hang up or, restriction with travel. Y pensaron que tal vez los invitarían a un concierto. And they thought maybe they would invite them to some kind of concert. Okay, bien. And I want somebody to start with shadowing, and that means I'll take a chunk, short combination of words that would normally hang together. And I would like somebody to repeat right after and think about your vowels, vocales. Who'd like to start with shadowing for me today? Alguien? Anybody? Okay, bueno, Carrie. Bien, bien, bien.
Marilyn,
And
before we start, can you tell us again about I think that way we use our mouth for the two vowels? I think the ah or the e, whatever, the smile.
oh, okay. A little review
Remind
of
me.
how we do the vowels.
Yeah, just I guess
Yeah.
the two
Okay,
that,
so should always sound like ah. Ah, yeah. And think about maybe dropping your jaw a little bit. Ah, ah, ah. Okay. And also keep in mind vowels are shorter, right? Um, okay, so ah, ah. That's your ah. The letter E in Spanish, the name for the letter E is e, e. And
uh,
is the letter E is never silent, like the English take, the silent E, that does not happen. So there are no silent E's. Yeah, but it's always and not a. A would sound like the letter E written with the letter I in Spanish. A. No, it's just but short A. All right. A-E-I. The letter I in Spanish is called E. And that's the sound it makes. E. E. And again, we keep it short. E. Okay.
okay.
And here is the one that people think they're always saying really right. Actually, I would say people, well, no, I'm not going to say. All right. Oh, people think, okay, a long O sound, but that it isn't really because O in English, O is long and kind of drawn out. And this is short. Oh, oh. All right. So oh. And then our vowel O. O. All right. The letter U is O, and it always makes the O sound. All right. Uh, okay. Couple exceptions for the O. Sometimes O does go silent, like in the word, por ejemplo, guerra, the word for war, guerra, G-U-E. All right. G-U-E and G-U-I, the U goes silent. So a word like guerra is not pronounced guerra, right? G-U-E, we pronounce the U if the U gets that umlaut, the double dots, yeah. And there aren't a ton of words. There are some, but they're not the majority of words that get the umlaut, the double, they call it technically a diaresis, okay? So usually G-U-E is silent, like guerra, or G-U-I makes the U silent. Guia, guide, yeah, guia. Okay. Or the word for script for a play, guion, right? G-U-I. So once in a while, O goes silent, but usually it doesn't. Okay? Bien?
Okay, thank you. It's
Okay.
probably my Wisconsin accent wants to draw out those vowels though. So
And, and I think being from the upper Midwest, I am in English very nasal. To
Mhm.
other people with other accents of English, my American English would sound quite nasal. And I think for those of us with that background, uh, yeah, that happened. We have to fight that. Okay. Okay. Vale, bien. Oh, I need to put my share back on and I need to make my screen really, really big because I know some of you will be working off of a tablet. And the bigger I make it, the easier it is for you to follow along. Vale, bueno, vamos a continuar. And here's another example of why we want your vowels to be good. That
We're,
word
we're not we're not
continuar,
getting your screen, Marilyn. We're not getting your screen.
uh, you have it.
There we
Ahora
go.
la tienes. Now you've got it. See?
Yes.
Now we have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that word continuar, right? A lot of people will tend to anglicize it and say continuar. Can you hear the difference? Continuar and continuar. Continuar. Yeah. Uh, because your English brain has continue in your head, running in your head. When you see those words, your brain is already thinking to the English continue, but it should not be continuar. Continuar, continuar. Okay, entienden, understand why those vowels are important. Ok, vamos a empezar. Resultó que
Resultó que
no fue ninguna
no fue ninguna
de las dos cosas.
de las dos cosas.
Turns out, or turned out, it wasn't either of the two. It wasn't either one of those two scenarios. 2 días después,
2 días después,
durante una videollamada
durante una videollamada
con el equipo del artista,
con el equipo del artista,
la pareja se enteró
la pareja se enteró
de que Bad Bunny,
de que Bad Bunny,
cuyo verdadero nombre
cuyo verdadero nombre
es Benito Antonio
es Benito Antonio
Martínez Ocasio.
Martínez Ocasio,
Bien. Quería que se casaran
quería que se casaran
en su actuación
en su actuación
de medio tiempo
de medio tiempo
del Super Bowl. Uy, ¿cuál es? Del Super Bowl 60
del Super Bowl 60
en Santa Clara, California.
en Santa Clara, California.
Y clase tenía que pensar porque LX es como un número romano, ¿sí? Y no pienso mucho en los números romanos y tenía que pensar, LX, LX, wow, ¿qué es? Es 50 con 10. 50 con 10 son 60. Ok, vale. Ok. Ah, una frase, como dos frases más. Sí, sí, Carrie.
Sí,
Nos miramos fijamente.
nos miramos fijamente.
Nunca olvidaré
Olvidaré
esa sensación.
esa sensación,
And I want you to take a look at that word again, sensación.
sensación.
Okay, here's a good example. Your English brain is thinking sensation, but it's
Ujú,
sensación. Sí,
ujú,
¿entiendes? Sí.
sí,
Ok, vale. Dijo la señora Aparicio.
dijo la señora Aparicio.
Dijeron,
Dijeron,
Benito quiere capturar
Benito quiere capturar
personas reales,
personas reales,
emociones reales,
emociones reales,
amor real.
amor real.
See, we looked at each other fixedly. Yeah. I will never forget that feeling, said Señora Aparicio. They said Benito wants to capture real people, real emotions, real love. Okay. Gracias, gracias, Carrie. ¿Quién quiere continuar? Who wants to keep going here? Bueno, Mariana, sí. Su mente se llenaba
Su mente se llenaba
de preguntas
de preguntas
sobre cómo funcionaría
sobre cómo funcionaría
todo.
todo,
Pero la pareja
pero la pareja
aceptó.
aceptó.
Ok, bien, sí. Ah, their minds are full of, how this was going to work, but the couple accepted. Aún no sabían
Aún no sabían
que Lady Gaga,
que Lady Gaga,
casualmente la
ca-
artista favorita
casualmente la artista favorita
de la señora Aparicio,
de la señora Aparicio,
actuaría
actuaría
inmediatamente después
inmediatamente después
de casarse en el escenario.
de casarse en el escenario.
Sí, escenario,
En escenario.
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 Bien,
I
bien,
got
bien,
it?
mejor.
Okay.
Escenario. Escenario
Escenario.
es stage. That's all that word is, stage. Escenario, escenario.
Escenario.
Okay, and let's take a look at this one because it is a long word, and
Yeah, I
long
didn't
words
get
can be
that one.
lots harder, right? Inmediatamente.
Inmediatamente.
Bien, see, it's hard with those long words for us to get every syllable, right? Inmediatamente. And if you need to with long words, never be afraid to kind of break it into two parts or maybe even three parts, right? Inmediata, right? And this INM is kind of an odd combination. It happens in some words, it happens because of the words that came in from Latin, right? But inmediatamente, okay? Ok, ni que Bad Bunny,
Ni que Bad Bunny,
el artista favorito del señor Walter,
el artista favorito del señor Walter.
Walter, sí. No
Wal-
sé cómo se Walter, firmaría
Firmaría
el acta de matrimonio
el acta de matrimonio
como testigo.
como testigo.
Bien, sí. They still did not know that Lady Gaga, by chance, Mrs. Aparicio's favorite artist, would perform, and that actuar can mean act, but because she was performing on a stage, And singing, we would probably better express this as would perform. Yeah.
Mm.
And this is a would perform. Would perform. This is what we call the conditional tense. Would perform. Would perform immediately after getting married on stage. Nor that Bad Bunny, Mr. Walter's favorite artist, would sign. So here's another. That's like actuaría. Firmaría would means would sign. And here these are hypothetical. That conditional expresses the would hypothetical kind of thing. Would sign the marriage license as a witness. Yeah, marriage license. See. Okay. Bien. Gracias. Gracias. Who'd like to keep going? ¿Quién quería seguir? And speak up because I can't see everybody with my screen as is.
I can
Alguien.
give it a shot here.
Okay, magnífico. Gracias. And here we've got the neither word or not either. Tampoco anticiparon
Tampoco anticiparon
la atención
la atención
que recibirían
que recibirían
tras la actuación.
tras la actuación.
Yeah, neither did they anticipate the attention they would receive. Here's that conditional again, would receive after the performance. Tras is used the same way as we use después de. And it's just to give a little variety. There are two different ways of saying after, and tras is just an alternative for después de. Tras la actuación. Ok. Algunos del público del show
Algunos del público del show
notaron que la pareja
notaron que la pareja
que estaba así legalmente casada
que estaba así legalmente casada
en el escenario
en el escenario
parecía una pareja de verdad.
parecía una pareja de verdad
Y sintieron curiosidad
y sintieron curiosidad
por saber más
por saber más
sobre ellos.
sobre ellos.
Público is audience. Some of the audience of the show noticed that the couple who were, really legally married on the stage seemed like an honest to God couple, seemed like a real couple, de verdad. And they felt curious to know more about them. Okay, su historia comenzó
Su historia comenzó
en 2018.
en 2018.
El señor Walter
El señor Walter
era técnico de sala de emergencias,
era técnico de sala de emergencias.
there's a tough word.
Emergi-
Emergencias.
emergencias.
Sí. Y la señora Aparicio
Y la señora Aparicio
era copista médica.
era copista médica.
Okay.
I had to look up copista.
And what did you
That
find?
was copyist, and I'm still not sure what she was.
Copyist. It's, just somebody who takes notes.
Oh,
Sometimes doctors, I've had doctors where, so they don't have to chart everything. There's someone that comes in the room with them with a computer and is just typing away their notes
Right.
while the visit's going on. It saves the doctor's time.
The assistant acts as a scribe, you
okay.
know. And we probably, I think in English we're not we don't have maybe one set term for that, even in English. But yeah, because the practice of what one does at a doctor's office is changing now because of everybody using, iPads or laptops to take the notes. Many people have a scribe, I think of the word scribe as a little monk in medieval times, writing down little biblical things before they invented the printing press. But that's kind of like what a scribe, I mean, it is what a scribe does. Uh, yeah, somebody who takes notes, a note taker, essentially a note taker is a copista. Yeah.
Okay. Marilyn,
Uh,
could you go back about 6 words? I just
sí,
want
sí.
to check something. Is it emergencias or emergencias?
Emergencias.
Which one?
Emergencias.
Emergencias. Okay.
Sí. And you had a nice ch in there.
That's
Emergencias.
because any Jewish person knows how to say Hanukkah
There you go. Yeah. Uh, or chutzpah, maybe. Although
or
chutzpah may
chutzpah,
be a little
right?
different. But yeah,
It's the same, yeah.
that che is good to have. Emergencias. But the thing that is crucial is that you don't want emergencias. Yeah. An English speaker tends to say emergency, and we don't want that j sounded. Emergencias, emergencias. Ok,
Okay.
bien. Vamos a continuar, Marcos. ¿Sí? Pasaron algunos años
Pasaron algunos años
y ambos se convirtieron,
y ambos se convirtieron
¿sí? En enfermeros
en enfermeros
titulados,
titulados,
pero se mantuvieron en contacto
pero se mantuvieron en contacto
en Instagram.
en Instagram.
Okay. They spent a few years passed. Yeah, a few years passed, and both became licensed nurses. Yeah, titulados refers to a license or a degree. Yeah, somebody with a degree and special training that's authorized by the state.
Hey,
They
Marilyn, I
became
noticed the se convirtieron.
se
They
convirtieron.
gave us a
Yeah.
big lesson on that. When to use
Yeah, they
become.
they became. This was part of a process because of their education. That se convirtieron is the became word.
Right.
All right.
I got kind of excited when I saw it. That's all. I was just passing that along.
Yeah, se convirtieron tells you that somebody achieved a certain status or got to a certain level that, is a formal thing. They became the some, and in now it's talking about became in the sense of a professional degree. Okay. But they stayed in contact. Se mantuvieron en contacto. They stayed in contact. En diciembre
En diciembre
de 2022,
de 2022,
ella le envió un mensaje.
ella le envió un mensaje.
Bien, perfecto, perfecto. Okay, vale, bien. She sent him a message. First, this was not a sudden romance. They had 2018, 2022, nada de repente, nothing out of the blue, nothing all of a sudden. Bien, ¿hay alguien que quiere continuar? Anybody who wants to continue with our warm-up?
I can.
Ok, vale. Bueno, a principios
A principios
de 2023
de 2023
se reunieron
se reunieron
para comer hamburguesas.
para comer hamburguesas.
Beginning of 2023, they got together to eat hamburgers. En medio de la conversación,
En medio de la conversación,
la señora Aparicio
la señora Aparicio
Notó en su Apple Watch
Notó en su Apple Watch
que él había estado escuchando
que él había estado escuchando
Neverita
Neverita
de Bad Bunny,
de Bad Bunny,
de su álbum Un Verano Sin Ti.
de su álbum Un verano sin ti.
Y pueden ver, you guys can see, pueden ver que álbum, es una palabra prestada. It's really a borrowed word that's been used for a long time since the old disc thing. Un Verano Sin Ti, that there is his album title. And that's a thing, if you were to look up his music on whatever you play your music on, Un Verano Sin Ti, A Summer Without You is the title of the album. Ok. ¿Te gusta Bad Bunny? Preguntó.
¿Te gusta Bad Bunny? Preguntó.
Él dijo que le encantaba el artista.
Él dijo que le encantaba el artista
Y la música española en general.
y la música española en general.
Desde 2019,
Desde 2019,
cuando en el gimnasio
cuando en el gimnasio
solo se ponían reggaetón.
solo ponían reggaetón.
And here we have one of our silent U's, reggaeton, reggaeton, right? Not regueton, but reggaeton. Okay, do you like Bad Bunny? She asked. He said he loved him and Spanish music in general since 2019 when the gym would only put on reggaeton music. So while he was at the gym, they were playing this, and that's why he kept hearing it. Okay. Se reunían
Se reunían
3 o 4 veces al mes,
3 o 4 veces al mes,
coordinando.
coordinando.
There's the tough word in this group, coordina. And this is one where we do draw out the O because it's 2 O's. And that's unusual. Doesn't happen in a lot of words, coordinando. Sus horarios
Sus horarios
para verse
para verse
tan seguido
tan seguido
como pudieran,
como pudieran,
a pesar
a pesar
de sus turnos
de sus turnos
de 12 horas.
de 12 horas.
And this is giving us the information of it's hard to get 2 different schedules synced when you both work as nurses and you both work 12-hour shifts. This is talking about their shifts and when they got together. They got together 3 or 4 times a month, al mes, a month, coordinating their schedules to see each other as often as they could, in spite of their, and here's the shift word, turnos. Yeah, it can mean term, but here it means their shifts. They're 12-hour shifts.
Marilyn,
Okay. Sí, sí, sí.
would you mind if I read a little bit more? Because I tried
Sí.
reading this aloud at home and some of these longer words here.
Are hard.
Yes.
Yeah. And here's one. Sure, you can. And this is one of those words, again, you might want to break it into 2 because this is a profoundly long word. Aproximadamente.
Aproximadamente.
Aproximadamente un mes después
Un mes después
de su primera cita,
de su primera cita,
él le preguntó por teléfono,
él le preguntó por teléfono,
hipotéticamente,
hipotéticamente,
hablando,
hablando,
¿cuánto tiempo
¿cuánto tiempo
debería salir
debería salir
con alguien
con alguien
antes de ponerle una etiqueta?
antes de ponerle una etiqueta?
Sí, approximately a month after their first date, he asked her on the phone, hypothetically speaking, how long should somebody go out with somebody? How long should you go out? How long should you go out with somebody before putting a label on them, like the girlfriend or the fiance label? Yeah. ¿sí? Él estaba listo
Él estaba listo
para hacerlo oficial,
para hacerlo oficial,
pero ella necesitaba
pero ella necesitaba
más tiempo.
más tiempo.
Wow, he was ready to make it official, but she needed a little bit of time. Precioso, cute. Ok, el 23 de febrero
El 23 de febrero
de 2023,
de 2023,
al final
al final
de una cita en Disneyland,
de una cita en Disneyland,
estaban sentados
estaban sentados
a una mesa
a una mesa
cuando ella dijo,
cuando ella dijo,
ya estoy lista.
ya estoy lista.
Puedes volverme a preguntarme.
Puedes volver a preguntarme.
That's so cute. 23rd of February, at the end, al final, at the end of a date at Disneyland, they were sitting together at a table when she said, now I'm ready. You can ask me again. And here is the again structure. There are lots of ways to say again. Volver a is very common, and this one is tough for English speakers. Volver a plus an infinitive. Volver a preguntar means to return to ask, and that means ask again. Sí, puedes volver. You can. The puedes is the can part. Puedes volver a preguntarme. You can ask me again. And he could have said, they could have said, preguntar de nuevo. Yeah, ask. De nuevo is another again. Otra vez is another time, meaning again. So there are like three essentially different ways to say again. ¿Sí? ¿Todo bien? ¿Todo bien? All good? Bien. Hay alguien que quiere continuar, and I want to see everybody so I can see if somebody raises a hand. Anybody want to continue with a little more? Bueno, Jan, sí, vamos a ver. Otra vez. Bien, 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 bien. En octubre de 2024,
En octubre de 2024,
and I want you to take a look at this word again. Octubre.
octubre,
Octubre. Oc.
oc, oc,
Oc.
oc,
Octubre. See? Yeah, we want to say
octubre,
October, but it's octubre. Octubre.
octubre.
Sí. El señor Walter,
El señor Walter,
de 32 años,
de 32 años,
propuso matrimonio
propuso matrimonio
en Cannon Beach, Oregon.
en Cannon
Or-
Beach, Oregon.
Oregon, they really shouldn't have an accent mark. Oregon, okay. Se graduó de la Universidad Estatal de California,
Se graduó de la Universidad Estatal de California,
Fullerton, ¿sí? Con una licenciatura
con una licenciatura
en enfermería.
en enfermería.
See, so they give us the date he proposed marriage, where he did it, and he graduated from Cal State Fullerton. Well, diríamos Cal State, no? Cal State Fullerton with a degree. Licenciatura is a degree. Licenciatura, a nursing degree. La señora Aparicio,
La señora Aparicio,
de 29 años,
de 29 años,
obtuvo una licenciatura.
obtuvo una licenciatura
Es y aquí, en kinesiología.
en kinesiología
Wow, difícil. De la Universidad Estatal de California, Fullerton.
de la Universidad Estatal de California, Fullerton,
Y una maestría
y una maestría
en enfermería
en enfermería
de la Universidad Western de Ciencias de Salud. We don't need to go through all the university things, but una maestría de enfermería is a master's. So she had a degree in kinesiology. ¿Cómo se pronuncia en inglés? Wow, there's my problem with, yeah.
Kinesiology.
Yeah, how do we pronounce
Kinetics.
that in English? No lo sé.
Kinesiology.
Yeah, or kinetics.
Gracias, sí. And a master's in nursing. Ok, un poquito más. Antes del show de Super Bowl,
Antes del show de Super Bowl,
la pareja participó
la pareja participó
en 2 semanas de ensayos.
en 2 semanas de ensayos.
Una en Los Ángeles
Una en Los Ángeles
y otra en Santa Clara.
y otra en Santa Clara.
Yeah, before the Super Bowl, the couple participated in 2 weeks of ensayos is rehearsals, yeah. One in LA, one in Santa Clara. Sus familiares
Sus familiares
y amigos
y amigos
sabían que
sabían que
participaban
participaban
de alguna manera
de alguna manera
en el Super Bowl,
en el Super Bowl,
pero no sabían los detalles.
pero no sabían los detalles.
Bien, sí, les dijeron a sus parientes
Les dijeron a sus parientes
que iban a participar
que iban a participar
como bailarines.
como bailarines.
Bien. Okay. So before the Super Bowl, they had 2 rehearsal weeks, 2 places, right? Sus familiares means their family members. It's a different way of saying parientes, relatives. Yeah. Familiares is family members. Their family members and friends knew that they were going to participate. Here's our imperfecto. We're going to participate in some way, somehow, in some way in the Super Bowl, but they did not know the details. And they told their relatives, and here, instead of familiares, we used these synonyms so we don't get repetitive of parientes. They told their relatives that they were going to participate as dancers. Okay. A little misleading, but they wanted them to have a surprise. Okay.
One year, the high school where my girls went, their dance team got to participate when the Super Bowl was in Minneapolis. Dancers out there with, I don't know, the guy that was in the boy band, I forget his name, but they had to keep it really on the down low. They were, they were in rehearsals, but they couldn't tell anybody they were going to be in the Super Bowl till after.
Yeah, that people don't want spoilers. They don't want information leaked, right?
Right. Yeah. So that would make sense that these guys thought they would be dancers, that.
Yeah, made sense. Sure. Okay. Bien. And you'll notice we have lots of little numbers sneaking in for our practice here. So we're getting some more numbers drills with years and all those kind of things. Nora, I think you still have a
Yes,
yeah. You
I'll
need a
go.
turn, right?
Yes. You
Okay.
gave me a long turn last week, so I didn't know if I did another one.
Okay. All right. Well, let's we'll do a little bit more and you'll get a great big number at the end. Here we go.
Right.
Antes de la presentación
Antes de la presentación
en vivo,
en vivo,
Bad Bunny firmó
Bad Bunny firmó
su certificado de matrimonio
su certificado de matrimonio
como testigo
como testigo
y los tres compartieron un momento.
y los tres compartieron un momento.
And let's look at that word because it's a long compartieron.
Compartieron.
Bien, compartieron. Bien, okay. So before the live show, Bad Bunny signed their marriage license as a witness. See, como testigo, that is the witness word. And the three shared a moment. El momento cumbre
El momento cumbre
de la pareja
de la pareja
comenzó a los 5 minutos
comenzó a los 5 minutos
del entretiempo.
del entretiempo.
See, the peak moment for the couple started 5 minutes into the halftime show. Yeah. La cámara enfocó.
La cámara enfocó
Sí, enfocó la ceremonia nupcial,
la ceremonia nupcial,
donde la pareja,
donde la pareja,
vestida de blanco,
vestida de blanco,
se tomó de la mano
se tomó de la mano
y se miró fijamente
y se miró fijamente
con amplias sonrisas.
con amplias sonrisas.
Sí, yeah. The camera focused on the wedding ceremony or nuptial, we have that word in English, nuptial ceremony, where the couple dressed in white took each other by the hand and looked fixedly, yeah, with wide, amplias is ample, but, big smiles, wide smiles. Cuando Antonio Reyes,
Cuando Antonio Reyes,
pastor de Project Church South Sacramento, we can skip that part, los declaró
los declaró
marido y mujer,
marido y mujer,
se besaron.
se besaron.
When the pastor declared them husband and wife, they kissed each other. Se besaron is each other. It is using what we look at as reflexive, and that is reflexive, as the each other context. Yeah. And marido is the kind of more formal word for esposo. You hear that a lot more in Spain than you do in Latin American, but marido is husband. Y mujer. And I know woman seems a little primitive for wife, but a lot of times if somebody introduces a lady next to them as es mi mujer, he's not saying ma woman. He means wife. Yeah. Mujer in this context means wife, not just a woman. Okay. Solo mirarlo
Solo mirarlo
me quitó todos los nervios,
me quitó todos los nervios,
dijo la señora Aparicio
dijo la señora Aparicio
sobre el señor Walter.
sobre el señor Walter.
Just looking at him took all my nerves away, took all my nervousness away. See? Se me olvidó
Se me olvidó
que había
que había
70,000
70,000
personas.
personas.
It made me forget that there were 70,000 people out there.
Is she the SRA? Is that now that she's married? Is she now senora versus señorita, or did we?
Buena
Señorita,
pregunta. Good question. Yes, now that she is married, she is officially señora as opposed to señorita.
That's abbreviated to SRA.
Yeah, that SRA is just an abbreviation, like MRS is an
Okay.
abbreviation. That's all. And for a man, it's SR, period, for señor. And in which surname is used? As we have many changes actually in Spanish and Latin American society, women have many choices and have had many choices for quite a long time as to what surname they want to be addressed with after marriage. You can use your husband's surname, you have the option. And for many, many years before this was like a thing in US culture, there were women who would keep their own surname after marriage because they choose to. On legal documents, it'll have all of that. But as people would address you, you would just kind of let people know what your preference was with the way that told them. So there has always been for many, 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 many years more flexibility for which surname women wish to use in Spanish culture, Spanish
Marilyn,
speaking.
I
See,
I have a question. Is there a Spanish equivalent of Ms., MS in
no,
Spanish?
there isn't, but I can tell you that um, the word señorita, which we always think of as miss, is according to some people I have listened to online, señorita is kind of losing, kind of going by the wayside, poco a poco. And by this I mean little by little. It will, of course, there will be variations regionally, but uh, while there is no Ms. word, somebody may use señorita if some young lady is obviously quite young to address her, but uh, some women themselves do not prefer the title señorita anymore because they see it as kind of there, little lady. Uh,
So if you're 40 and you're single and you're in a business setting where you need to be addressed by
Señora,
your last name, would it
yeah,
Senora?
yeah. A lot of people will. A lot of people will. Señorita is kind of falling by the wayside, and I mean that as a gradual thing. If
So
you're in a
Senora,
very rural area that's quite conservative, maybe not. But in a lot of modern cities, there are a lot of young women who really don't prefer that señorita title, regardless of their marital status.
so they just use Senora whether it's married or not.
They just see you, they're not going to like look for a wedding ring. They'll just address you as, yeah, yeah. You get to a certain age, it's kind of like those of us who are female will recognize that, in the store when somebody addresses you as Miss versus ma'am changes. And it's Senora has kind of become the ma'am. Maybe not the Ms., but the ma'am of, yeah, that's the way it is. Okay. Yay. And we only have a little bit left. Do you want to stop it there? Because I think everybody got a turn. See? Bien? Good enough? See? Okay.
Sí,
Vale.
bien.
Vale. Magnifico.
Was this couple a Spanish speaking
Sí.
couple or were they English speakers that just happened to like him? Do you know?
Oh, in the people, the actual people in the article.
Yeah.
She comes from, I believe, sí, salvadoreña. She's from El Salvador.
Oh,
Yeah. El Salvador. Her family comes from there
oh.
originally, her family. No, I think un gringo como nosotros. He's like the rest of us, yeah. And because they live in the LA area, of course, they just hear a lot of Spanish, as where we live, would hear a lot of Spanish just because of our geographic location, really, no other reason than that. So that is how that happened. Okay.
I couldn't tell from the article, did they have any people, family with them at the wedding, or were those all like dancers that were part of, in
I
that picture?
They did not talk about that in the article. I think my guess from what I read in the article is that they did not have family members there.
Mhm.
Um, could be wrong, but it
Yeah.
sounded like their family was watching with everybody else.
Well,
Sounded like that to
on
me
the
because
stage there, I remember there were a lot of people up there at the stage.
there were,
So,
and I think they probably had a lot of like the professional dance people or professional stand-ins
mm,
there as background dressing for that. But it did not sound like they brought, because they didn't talk in the article, which I cut some of the longer parts out. It did not sound like they brought people with them, or they would have described that process, I think, of inviting people in. So, okay.
People in the background looked a little too perfect and too coupley to be
And there you
to be
go.
real.
Yeah. They looked they all looked very attractive. All very young and attractive. And that's usually the cue for these folks who are hired, yeah. But you know what? I bet they kind of had fun knowing that they were there for a wedding. That was probably still kind of had a fun element for them. Okay. And it was kind of it's too bad we didn't have these two things during Valentine's week, but uh, we had a related thing going on with the video of the week. Yeah, see, a connected theme. It was a love theme all around. Sí, esta historia del el video de audio comprensión, el video fue un video de un cuento de cómo un abuelo, cómo un hombre conoció a su pareja, cómo conoció a su futura esposa, how he met his future wife, ¿sí? Y quiero saber, sí, de este video. I do want to know from that video if you have any questions on the video or any terms she used. Nora, sí.
I was trying to channel Lori, who does such a nice job. This is very early at 52 seconds. Vamos a dejar a un lado los sustos. I think she's trying to say stop worrying about that, but is
Yeah,
the
okay.
scares, it says we're going to set aside. I got that part.
Yeah, set
Los
aside. And
sustos.
and
It was at 52 seconds.
uh okay. So this is a sentence for people who are frequent listeners. Okay. People who listen to a lot of stories have listened already through the weeks, through the months, a whole bunch of stories some of them were scary stories, things about events that caused a reaction of fear or a reaction of
Oh,
surprise. And yeah, we're going to leave aside the scary kind of stories, is what she's
okay.
saying.
All right.
That's what she is saying there. We're going to leave aside the scary stories for a different type of story
Oh, okay.
or funny ha 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 stories, yeah. Historias de comedia, comic stories for
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we're going to leave behind the scary or like
We're
super
moving
shocking
on.
stuff
Yeah.
or the funny ha ha belly laugh kind of stories for kind of a heartwarming story.
Okay. And then another one at the very end, which is kind of like probably that Colorado, colory, whatever.
Colorín colorado is just uh take it as a chunk. There is no great translation for that. It's a little phrase at the end of any story. It's like, that's all, folks, and there you have it.
And then she
And
added
there you
also
have it.
something about the faithful little hen. Is that another kind of an ending? La fiel chinita de gallina. It's at 6:05.
Oh.
I figured it must be another little storytelling
Let me
ending.
put that on so we've got that for context. Uh, made me feel like crying. I
Yeah.
wanted to cry.
That's 605.
Yeah, it gave me much nostalgia. Nostalgia is used quite a lot in Spanish, I think more than it is in English. What a cute story.
There you go, right there.
Goosebumps.
Oh, those are goosebumps.
Yeah.
Mine translated it something about the faithful little hen, but I see now it's
Yeah, piel de
goosebumps.
it is give you goosebumps, but not in a scary way. Yeah, see.
Should it have maybe been instead of should it have been like skin? Pe- now it's like slipping from my mind. Instead of piel,
Piel.
maybe like when, because that would be like skin, like goosebumps, chicken skin, isn't it? Like chicken
I bet it was
skin.
a
Yeah,
bad
it's like
AI.
chicken skin. Chicken skin has a little, but if you, yeah,
So I
that's a,
think instead of fiel, it probably should have been piel, right?
well,
There's
yeah,
that.
piel is just skin. Yeah,
Mm.
that's all. Nada más, nothing else. Bien. Okay. Ah, vale, bueno. Ok. Sí. Vale. Okay. Any other questions about the video? It was just cute meat story. Yeah, cute meat story. Okay. Está bien. Bueno, adelante. So, moving on. Uh, let's move on to our more grammar-related thing, which we're going to turn into a conversation thing. And I've got some questions I did not give you ahead of time, so you'll be seeing these a little bit more off the cuff, but I think it probably is something you didn't need a lot of prep for. We're going to have some normal type questions that use this verb llevar, okay? And llevar, let me throw this out. Llevar has many uses, like quedar had many uses, okay? And we want to take a look at actually one that I think most English speakers don't think about, but every single video I try to review on uses of llevar, they always bring this up as, boy, if you learn to use it, you are great. And that's going to be the time relation with llevar. So when you think of the verb llevar, what uses do you usually think of in Spanish? Because there are many contexts for using llevar.
To carry, to take.
To carry, to take. And there's the number one that you should always have in mind. To carry, to take. Llevar is to pick something up physically and move it and to set it down someplace else, right? And generally we use this as to take or take with. And you can be taking an item or taking a person, meaning putting them in your car and driving them someplace. Okay. So llevar implies that we are physically moving something or somebody in space to a different spot. Okay. And that's the number one use of llevar that nobody should forget ever. Any other uses for llevar that you remember offhand?
To
Where?
wear? To wear? The llevo puesto or something, isn't there?
Yeah, to wear. We often use, yeah, and you can use it as just llevar or llevar puesto. And puesto is a little more exact. And the reason that is helpful is that llevar with an article of clothing could mean you're picking up that article of clothing and, putting it someplace else or taking a jacket to somebody because you're loaning it to them. Yeah. So when we add that little word puesto, it just makes it more exact that it's placed on your body because puesto means placed. Yeah. So Llevo puesta. I have on. Llevo puesta una blusa. I have a blouse on. And the puesta refers to blusa. That's why it's puesta. Yeah. If I had llevo puestos pantalones. I have pants on. Puestos looks at the word pantalones as being masculine and plural. Okay, so puestos just makes it a little more precise, but you could use llevar by itself. Okay, any other uses for llevar that come to mind? Or
To
no?
lead to, or is that wrong?
Llevar can mean to lead to, yeah. It can mean many, many things. It can mean to direct. Let's take a look at some of the uses, and you're going to hear these in the video. So we're going to look at this very, very briefly. Llevar can have a whole bunch of meanings. I'm going to try to make this bigger for those of you on a tablet. Okay. And this just gives you some of it can mean to wear, it can mean to carry or have something on you, to take something somewhere. This is the one that is most common, probably, right? Whether you're taking them in a car or whatever. It's used to talk about what ingredients food are in a food dish, some kind of dish. Right? And that, when you think of the take thing, that maybe doesn't come to mind, but it's used to talk about what kind of stuff is in food. It's used to talk about ingredients. And it's used to talk in a reflexive context, to talk about people getting along, whether it's well or badly. And it's used for somebody saying that somebody has been doing something for a period of time and that they still do that activity. And this is the one that people keep saying over and over again. If you use this highlighted definition for llevar, if you can incorporate this, people will really think you are super duper good at Spanish. This is the one that a lot of English speakers don't think to use because in English we would say, I have been working at this job, and have been working at is going to be expressed as llevar. And this is something that's very, very common with Spanish speakers, but English speakers tend to maybe try to translate that in English in their head. And instead of using llevar, and using llevar would sound just supernatural. So we're going to listen to a little video and then do some practice. Es breve. This is a short video. It's only a 4-minute item. So we're going to take a look at this and come back to our, practice here. Okay, ¿pueden ver? ¿Pueden ver a la mujer? Can you see the woman?
Sí.
Sí, bien. Okay. And they're going to have translations down here, so we'll only have to maybe pause briefly during the 4-minute video.
Hoy vamos a ver 6 diferentes usos de el verbo llevar.
And maybe you don't need to take all all 6 uses away with you, but some will be super important.
Vamos a ver el primer uso con esta escena. Sí, lo voy a ver ahorita. Le voy a llevar la cámara y también llevo el documento.
Okay, so this is the bring or take meaning, yeah? Llevar, which we would say is take, or you're moving, you're picking something up and taking it over to somebody, taking it to somebody or bringing it to them. Le voy a llevar. I'm going to bring him the camera. I'm going to take the camera to him. The le is the to him part, okay? And I'm going to take the document too. I'm going to bring the document too.
En esta escena se usó la forma más común de entender el verbo llevar.
This is the most
Llevar
common.
algo de un lugar a otro. Pero ¿qué pasa con los siguientes ejemplos? Sí, además llevo 3 tazas de café y estoy toda acelerada. Y llevo como 15 minutos esperando el autobús y no pasa.
And here is the you are a super Spanish user phrase. Llevo como 15 minutos esperando. I've been waiting for 15 minutes, right? And the have been is conveyed with that verb llevo. I've been waiting with esperando. We need an ando tucked in there somehow. Llevo como 15 minutos, and that 15 minutos you could substitute any chunk of time. Yeah. Llevo 15 minutos esperando. I've been waiting for 15 minutes for that bus, and it's not coming. Y no pasa.
Ojalá pase pronto porque ya no quiero caminar. Llevo como 10 kilómetros caminados el día de hoy. Llevar tiempo, llevar distancia, llevar tazas de café. ¿En dónde llevas las tazas de café? Esto puede ser confuso para personas que están aprendiendo español, porque en español utilizamos el verbo llevar para explicar que algo se ha realizado por cierta cantidad de tiempo.
Okay, so we're using llevar to say that something has been done for a chunk of time, for a period of time. And this is the one that sounds very, very natural in Spanish, but English users tend to avoid this phrase a little bit. We're going to incorporate this with
De
some
distancia
practice.
o de cosas. Otros ejemplos serían: llevo 3 cervezas, no puedo manejar.
I've had 3 beers, I can't drive. Llevo, and it might not mean in the sense that I'm carrying 3 beers in the car with me, but I've consumed that amount, yeah?
O la caminata es de 5 kilómetros. Llevo 4, me falta 1.
Okay. The walk is 5 kilometers. I've walked 40. I've been walking for 4, or not 44. I've been walking for 4 of those 5 kilometros, yeah? Me falta
Marilyn, I'm just having a little trouble connecting here, so let me ask something. So on the first example of this one, she said llevo como 15 minutos esperando. So I have been waiting.
Sí.
So
Let me
the
back up.
llevo, the action verb was like esperando. But in these last couple of examples, there wasn't like an action verb to go with it. At least I didn't pick up on it. So
Okay. Yeah. Here you have the esperando, so you know that the thing she's been doing is waiting, right?
right.
Llevo como, and the como is just a like word. Llevo como 15 minutos esperando. Llevo 15 minutos esperando. I've been waiting, the esperando part, 15 minutes. Yeah. We're using it with a quantity of time to say you've been doing something for a certain period of time, a certain chunk of time. Okay?
That part I got, but the last couple of examples she did, at least I didn't pick up on it. It was, yeah, like here, llevo tres cervezas. I've had 3 beers, but
Yeah.
where's the verb that says, I drank, I had,
The
whatever.
verb that says that is llevo. It's like saying I'm carrying 3 beers in my belly. It's like saying I put away 3 beers. I put away 3 beers. I've chugged down 3 beers. Yeah. It's
So in
the
other
same
words,
thing as
more,
saying
it's not a time thing.
tomé, I drank, baby, I drank. Yeah. I threw back 3 beers. It's that idea. It's that
How
idea.
sort of how would you maybe I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit on but like how would you know when you need that additional verb like the esperando in the first example versus you don't
Oh.
really have that additional verb here. It's sort of implied.
Yeah. Okay. You don't have right. You don't have an additional verb here. I would say the additional verb is probably a little more common. You'll hear that more. You'll hear that more. How long somebody has been driving, how long somebody has been living, and you'll hear the driving, manejando verb.
So could you help me build one real quickly? And I apologize if I'm kind of
No,
like
no, está bien,
killing a
good.
little time here. So when you introduce this usage, I was thinking I've been going to Diamondbacks games for 10 years. So would I be saying something like llevo ear or some conjugation of ear?
Yes, llevo, and you can be vague. Llevo muchos años. Llevo muchos años, and here's your second verb, asistiendo a partidos de béisbol. Llevo muchos años viendo, from ver, sí, viendo partidos de béisbol, watching, ¿sí?
So all of those need that second verb in there, kind of.
Need that second verb. That llevo tres cervezas is just, I threw back, I chugged 3 beers. And you just have to kind of know. Most of the time, you're going to hear a second verb with that. Most of the time. Most of the time,
Okay.
you're going to hear a second
Yeah.
verb.
How about
Nora, you were trying to say something to me a second ago. I didn't catch it though.
I was
thinking
Yeah.
maybe it would be like, I've been drinking all night instead of just like I've drank too much, but it could be llevo 3 horas bebiendo cerveza.
Llevo 3 horas bebiendo, tomando. Yeah, I've been drinking for this chunk of time, and it's emphasizing the chunk of time. Most of the time, you're going to hear that second ando or yendo verb paired up in there. But what's going to be between the llevar and the ando yendo is the chunk of time in the middle in general. Okay? See,
Question.
does that help a little bit?
Yeah.
Pregunta. How about the como?
The como is just like in that.
So
I almost wish she hadn't used that word, but because it kind of detracts. The como
Okay.
there doesn't mean I'm eating como. It's not the como se llama,
No,
how.
right,
Yeah,
right.
it's just a like word.
It's not really needed
It's
though.
like being vague. Okay, so instead of saying llevo 5 minutos esperando, I've been waiting for 15 minutes, it's saying I've been waiting like 15 minutes.
Got it.
Yeah, that's all the little como word is.
Okay.
Like 15 minutes, meaning I don't know exactly if it's 15.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Bien, vamos a continuar. We're going to keep going here. Boom, 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 boom. Bien, okay.
No puedo manejar. O la caminata es de 5 kilómetros. Llevo
Okay,
4,
we're picking up
me
at the end.
falta 1. O llevo casi 3 años aprendiendo alemán.
And there's a typical use. I've been learning German for almost 3 years. And the been learning is the llevo aprendiendo. We don't think of llevo as been, but that been learning structure in English is formed with this structure in Spanish. Llevo aprendiendo. Llevo aprendiendo. And the chunk in between is the period of time. Casi 3 años, almost 3 years. You could shorten that to 3 años and toss the casi word. The casi is just almost, right? The key thing is the 3 años. Llevo 3 años. Llevo casi 3 años. ¿Ok?
Aprendiendo alemán, pero no he sido constante. Por cierto, si aún no eres miembro de la comunidad, te
And we're
dejamos
going to skip the
aquí
self-promotion
abajo.
and go back. Okay.
Otro uso sería con la frase llevar a cabo.
And llevar a cabo is to carry something to its logical end, to carry out something. And they translate it here as perform an action, meaning you have come to the end point where you've got something done.
Que significa realizar una acción o una actividad. Esta frase generalmente se escucha en conversaciones más formales o tal vez la puedes leer en algún documento formal, aunque también la puedes escuchar en conversaciones de la vida cotidiana. Vamos a ver el
And
ejemplo.
we're not going to practice this one, but llevar a cabo.
Sí, aquí dice, el proyecto se llevará a cabo en 3 etapas.
So the project will be carried out. We're not going to practice this one in our examples, but just so that you can hear it used.
Otro uso viene de la expresión llevarse bien. Y esto significa
And
que
here's
hay
the
una
get along
relación
one.
amistosa entre dos personas o dos partes. Yo no me llevo bien con nadie del trabajo.
I don't get along with anyone at work very well. Don't get along well. No me llevo bien. No me llevo bien con nadie. I don't get along well with anybody.
Todos me caen mal, menos tú.
Todos me caen mal. Everybody falls badly on me, meaning I don't like anybody. No me caen mal. Todos me caen mal. Todos me caen mal, right? I dislike everybody, except you, menos tú.
Otro uso, utilizarlo cuando quieres indicar que alguien va a ser responsable de realizar alguna tarea por un tiempo, que va a ser responsable de llevar a cabo el trabajo.
And this is the idea of somebody managing, making everything work, pulling all the strings. Yeah, somebody managing. So you'll notice that llevar can mean to manage.
¿Y entonces quién va a llevar la administración del proyecto? Yo no, ¿eh? Yo ya voy a llevar las redes sociales. A ver, te voy a colgar porque estoy viendo a Rodrigo, pero creo que no me ve. Le voy a llamar. El sexto y último uso por el video de hoy es para indicar, para comunicar que traes algo puesto.
And here's
Por
the
ejemplo,
wear verb.
llevo una blusa azul.
Llevo una blusa azul. I am wearing a blue blouse, but you could also say that you're taking a blue blouse somewhere to somebody. Say you're loaning that blouse to a friend to wear. So llevo puesta might be inserted here. That word puesta could be inserted here, or just the llevo by itself.
Vamos a ver la última escena.
Llevar con ropa.
Aquí estoy. Estoy vestida de negro y llevo una bufanda como del color de una gran pared que está al lado. Ojalá hayan aprendido algún uso.
And there we're going to stop and we're going to take a look at, and I'll send you the link for that. And these are not the only uses for llevar, but we're going to take a look at these as a means of practice. Como práctica. And if we don't get through all of these, we'll leave a few of them for you to come back next week. But I think we'll get through at least 4 or 5 of these. ¿Cuántos años o cuántos meses llevas en Arizona? How long have you been here? Por ejemplo, llevo más de 30 años en Arizona. I've been here more than 30 years. Llevo más de 30 años en Arizona. Okay? Ustedes, you guys.
But not llevo más de 30 años en Arizona viviendo.
Probably not viviendo. Probably you don't need viviendo, living here. Yeah. You can probably leave off the viviendo with this one and just say, ¿Cuántos años llevas en Arizona? Okay.
I'll eventually. I think you're about to say you just got to hear it a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes, in the case of vivir, living, uh, you'll probably just hear this as llevo 30 años en Arizona. You'll probably hear it without the viviendo here. Okay. Uh, entonces, ¿cuántos años? How many years? And sometimes people only hear months out of the year. That's why I've got the meses in there.
Llevo 10 años en Arizona.
Llevo 3 a 10 años en Arizona. Bien, bien. ¿Qué más? What else? ¿Algo más? Or no? You can just be vague and say, llevo muchos años en Arizona. Now, let's get an ando in here. ¿Cuánto tiempo llevas trabajando de voluntario? How long have you been doing volunteer work? ¿Sí? ¿Cuánto tiempo llevas trabajando de voluntario? How long have you been volunteering someplace?
That just be llevo un año trabajando de voluntario.
Sí, y the de voluntario just means as a volunteer. If you've been actually working at a place, see, you'll substitute the de voluntario for en tu trabajo or en tu empleo, en la compañía, something like that, see? Llevo, por ejemplo, mi hermana, my sister, mi hermana lleva 7 años trabajando de voluntario, ¿sí? De voluntaria, ¿sí? En un jardín botánico. Bien, ¿sí? Ok.
Marilyn,
Sí,
if I wanted to say it in the past, like llevé 6 meses trabajando de voluntario a la biblioteca.
sí, en la
I,
biblioteca, sí, en la biblioteca, and that would, and saying it as llevé would indicate that it ended. You don't do it
yes,
anymore.
yes, that's what I wanted. I did it for 6 months.
Yeah. So if there's a definite end, you'll use that as a pretérito. Sí, exacto, exacto. Okay. If you still do it, you'll use that as a presente. You'll use it as a present. So if you still work, yeah, if you've been doing it for 6 months and you still do it now, you'll just use that verb as llevo. Llevo 6 meses trabajando en la biblioteca. En la biblioteca. ¿Sí?
And
I've been,
could I throw on the end then like hace 10 años or something like that, like 10 years ago?
right. If you mean 10 years ago, I did this, then it's hace 10 años que trabajé. I worked 10 years ago.
Okay.
And then you mean over with. Yeah. Uh, then you get that ago idea. See? Yeah. Okay. I think I'm gonna, I am going to send these over to you guys to ponder these because we did not get through as many, and I want you to do justice to these. I want you to notice that if we have this as a negative idea, I haven't been doing it. For example, if you mean that you are retired, let me plug this in. Um, if you want to say you're retired, yeah. You'd use this as a structure, and it's a little bit different. And notice, then we've got this word sin without, yeah, that you're not doing it anymore. How long haven't you been working? Yeah, meaning how long have you been retired? This one is talking about llevar as what is an ingredient. I'll put in little cues for you here. Yeah. Que lleva el omelette perfecto? What does the perfect omelet have in it as ingredients? Yeah. Um, this is talking about ingredients again. So come next week. Yeah. Uh, I want you to realize that para llevar means to go. Yeah, llevar gets many, many contextual uses. So these are just various contextual uses. And I'll send you the little file that reminds you of contextual uses, because actually there are tons. There's no one video that gives you everything, but there are certain things that are good to have in your back hip pocket to go and to use on, you know, at the moment. And para llevar for to go is a use that you should be able to just pull it out of your hip pocket. See, un café para llevar is a coffee to go. And that is something as a tourist you're going to use, right? Talking about the ingredients in a certain type of dish. That's pull it out of your pocket, right? The plate, a dish, obviously doesn't carry something someplace, but we do use it to talk about ingredients and foods. So I'll send you a little reminder of all those uses of llevar, and then send the rest of those questions for you to bring back into class next week. ¿Está bien? Is that okay?
Sí,
One,
gracias.
one quickie here. So that the one you just said, if you're trying to order something to take out to go, you just say, I want, or I'd like to order, blah 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 blah, para llevar.
Para llevar is to go. And the person who's ringing up your order may ask, ¿Es para llevar? Is it to go? Es para llevar. Para llevar o para aquí. Para llevar o para aquí. For here, meaning you're going to stay here, o para llevar, to go. Yeah. There, that is a
That is a
likely,
good one.
yeah. That's a likely question the person will ask as they are doing the with the register, as they're ringing you up. Sí, bien. Okay. Todo bien. All good? And we'll give you a story video for the week too. También.